Hi, I'm Kalyan, the CEO and co-founder of KlugKlug. I'm going to show you a quick demo of what's possible on KlugKlug. As you can see, this is a screen of uh, KlugKlug dashboard. KlugKlug is an influencer marketing end-to-end stack that allows you to find the right influencers by any business logic for maximum business impact by the use of influencers. There are three platforms on KlugKlug. Sorry, there are four platforms on KlugKlug. There is Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Very recently, we've added Snapchat, which is a global first for any platform. The database sizes are huge. We have over 300 million plus influencers. There's 130 million you can see on Instagram. There's almost 8.9 million YouTube channels, which you can search through with great granularity. There's TikTok, which is almost 140 million odd profiles and so on. For today's purpose of what the capabilities are, I'm going to show you everything on that's possible on Instagram. We are right now on influencer discovery, which is how to find the right influencers. This is where we made it possible for you to not just define who your influencer, where your influencer, what your influencer says, and how many followers they have, but more importantly and equally importantly, maybe to define what the audiences are. So let's say you want to find an influencer from India whose audiences are from region X, because you want to find influencers, let's say from Delhi, but you want the audiences to be Delhi, or you want someone to be from Guwahati. Imagine being able to do that, to say, not only do I want the influencer to be, in fact, you don't care where the influencer is from, as long as the audience is from the particular region that you really want to target. We actually have database for more than 400 plus towns and cities of India, by which you can do granular mapping for relevance. And there's a lot more. Because everyone's becoming an influencer, people are trying to become an influencer really quickly, and they're trying to take shortcuts. We will demystify and show you the power of KlugKlug right now. So imagine this is discovery, finding the right influencer. I want to find an influencer from India. And immediately from 130 million odd, you are down to 8 million odd profiles, defined as public profiles with more than 1,000 followers who are on Instagram. It could be pages, brands, it could be people, it could be publications. Everything that's public gets assimilated into KlugKlug using machine learning logic. Now, back to the point. I want an influencer from India, but I want the audience to be from, let's say, city X. Let's take something weird. How about Guwahati? Default system is how many influencers from India have at least 5% audience from Guwahati? And instant search query is run, and we are able to tell you not one, not 50, not 500, but there are 76,967 profiles who are from India who have 5% or more audience from Guwahati. And as a marketer, as a big brand, small brand, D2C brand, e-commerce brand, fintech brand, what have you, you get to be as greedy as you like. And let's say you take it up a notch by 6x to say, how many influencers have audiences of more than 30% from Guwahati? And the number shrinks instantly to say, here they are. That's 13,134 and so on. So you can go all the way up to 95%. It's very rare that there'll be a particular influencer whose entire audience will be from a particular city. And of course, it will not, but you can go, let's say you go to a judicious maximizer of 70% of the audiences being from Guwahati, and the number will fall much further. And now it's not the real big ones, the smart ones, the really well-known ones, but the precise ones who are less glamorous, but more relevant because you found them instantly. So that's that. And as we go further, we said there's a big problem of fake followers. So here's the big deal. How many out of the 8 million profiles that we saw first in India on Instagram have at least, this is audience credibility, of at least 70% or more active and real audiences. And we are down to less than a third, which is only 2.48 million profiles. So that's the big problem. And if you flip the problem to say, therefore, which are the big, small and every profile that have more than 60% inactive or non-credible audiences? That's a whopping 4.6 million. We will not get into details of who they are, but it clearly shows you that no matter how big a celebrity or a big blue tick you have, those are not indicators of the audience relevance and authenticity. We will get into how that works. Going deeper into other aspects, you can optimize by language. You can say that show me influencers who speak in a particular language. Say Tamil. You can do that. How many profiles are talking and sharing content in Tamil? That's at least 12,000 profiles. But many brands and influencers and publications are speaking increasingly in English. So imagine being able to optimize to say, I want to find an influencer or profile that has Tamil speaking audiences who are following that audience. And you can take that number even higher to, let's say, is there a profile in India of which 30% of the audience talks and shares content in some form of Tamil on their timeline? So followers, and the number is at 30%, that's 931 results that have Tamil following audiences. Clearly, content travels further than the region and language, but the ability to do so, and this can be done in any language. For that matter, we can say that, is there an influencer in India for some reason who writes in Russian? Is it possible? We don't know. Is there a single profile? Apparently, there are quite a few. And there you go. There are people who have moved to India as their location, primary location of residence, but are still sharing content in Russian. So any cross-country border like things are possible. In fact, if you are a beauty brand and you say, I want to find influencers from South Korea whose audiences are, so let's say there's a database of almost 500,000, 560,000 influencers in India, sorry, South Korea. And we say, I want to see how many of them have audiences in India. And you can really optimize that. Imagine, fun fact, out of 562,000 profiles from South Korea, 47,000 profiles have at least 5% audience from India, and all the other optimization is, of course, possible. You can also do other things like interest. So let's say you're looking for, how many influencers are talking about toys, children, and baby, which means you're a baby care, mother care kind of product. And out of 8 million, you're down to 30,000. Sorry, we are still in South Korea, so I'll switch that back to India. And now the number will, of course, go up a lot because a whole bunch of people talk about some content around baby, toys, or children. But imagine being able to optimize by the audiences. Says, show me followers, because I don't want people, because influencers talk about everything or the other at some point in time. I want to optimize for my audiences. And I said, show me influencers who have audiences who talk about some form of toy, children, baby content, or they engage with similar content by writing comments around that on other profiles. We are able to build that for you instantly and say, here is a much better segment. And these are all the profiles. And just to give you a quick sense of relevance, if I remove and I put the gender, show me only gender neutral pages, which is maybe business pages who seem to have massive audiences around choice, children, and baby. And you can see how quickly the results have come, which is now you're seeing baby-led products and baby-led pages that have talked about baby-led content at some point in time. Resetting and starting again. Fun fact number 2 coming up for every market, and especially India. How many female profiles are there in India? So imagine you're a beauty brand and you normally use lifestyle beauty influencers who are female gender. That's 1.4 million. And here is the very interesting part. Only a very small percentage of them actually have female audiences. One, that's because Instagram is like that. And nature is like that. And if you just put that thing filter that how many influencers from India who are female have at least 50% female audiences? 1.4 million falls down to 87,000. So the bad news is, of course, there are tons of influencers who every brand has been working with would have had a massive loss because they've been speaking to male audiences while they're talking about L'Oreal or Lakme or what have you. And we are the only tech in the world that can go one level further and say, I don't care about the followers. Show me influencers who get 50% female engagement. I want where the rubber meets the road, and the number falls further. The amazing thing is this kind of optimization. You as a brand, why would you work with anybody else before you work with these people with 39,000 profiles who have more than 50% female audiences? And it is not just about the big names, 39,000, which means if I reduce it to say, hey, who are the small ones? So you can decide which size of influencer you want to talk to. Show me the really small influencers below 100,000 followers who have more than 50% female audiences and are female. And that's a chunk of it, 34,000. So the largest database of the long tail influencers who nobody works with are hidden and buried in the glamour of the big names, are ready for India to be used by the female brands, talking about female products and female audiences required kind of situations. Cutting back really quickly again to some, you can do the same for age. You can define the age of the influencer. You can define what percentage of the audience should have what kind of age. Imagine you're an alcohol brand, you say that, look, I want to talk to male audiences, or I don't care, I want to speak to male or female, but I want as much as possible the audience to be above 25, over the legal drinking age, and show me influencers who have at least 40% audiences above 25. How many such influencer profiles are there in India? That's a whopping 3.8 million. A lot to go with, and you can keep optimizing. I want male for male because we are a whiskey brand and we want to talk to people. That number is still huge. And of course, always be doing this. How many of them are really worth the money because they have active audiences, real audiences? That number from 2.4 million goes to 1.5. You're still good to go. Other interest. And of course, you can do this. I want the interest of the audience to be beer, wine, and spirits, and increase the interest salience to, let's say, 20%. You're going far beyond skimming on the top of the influencers, followers, numbers, engagement rate, to saying who might be a really good person to sell you stuff, and so on. So there you go. Cutting back again, let's show you some of the really global firsts in terms of having done some really crazy. So out of 8 million influencers, we have something called Intel Search. Now we're going to run something called Intel Search, which does audio recognition, image recognition. By audio recognition, we mean it will look into static images shared by an influencer and detect for objects. So we have computer vision led enhancements. So it's layer one though. And any text that has been shared by an influencer in the recent past of a couple of months, which is about 4 months. So we can search, we call this the silver bullet search, which means, imagine I know there's a word that only a certain kind of an influencer would use. So you can type an ingredient, an emotion, a product, a brand, we can search it. So if I type Mini Cooper, has there anyone used the word in Mini Cooper or shared the image of a word of a Mini Cooper in a static post that they put on Instagram, or they spoke about it or wrote about it, and so on? So we're doing a search in India. Has anyone mentioned Mini Cooper in the last 4 months? There are 236 profiles. And of course, these are obvious cars and people and celebrities and garage handles that are talking about content. But you can do that. And you can go from Mini Cooper to, you can say that, hey, has someone talked about diaper rash in their audio or on the text of their content? Instantly, that's 775, 79 results. And you can see that these people have been talking about diaper products and so on because that's what they do. But the ability to do so. You can look for influencer lookalikes. Let's say you like a particular influencer. There's an influencer called That Boho Girl. But let's say she's so popular that she's been used by every brand, and you want to find other influencers who share similar content. KlugKlug immediately creates a word cloud around what that boho girl has been talking about. And using that, it says that there are 10,000 other profiles in India who have a similar content logic as revealed here, nothing more, nothing less, that similar to that boho girl. And not only that, you can say that I want to find an influencer whose audience is also similar to that boho girl, because the last few times we used her, she worked really well, but we have fatigued her because we've used her so much. So let's find other options. So now we're trying to replicate that boho girl, and not just one, but there are 120 other profiles who share similar content like that boho girl, including herself, because she satisfies both those conditions. So ability to go really quickly outside the funnel of the usual suspects to find other people who are similar. KlugKlug has the largest bio directory search, which means you can search by what anybody has mentioned in their bio, which means if we say that you're a beauty brand that wants to activate the salon and spa network in India and wants to know how many hairstylists are there in India. Rather, this is basically people mention their profession, passion, interest, or some such in their bio. We make that instantly searchable for India. Out of 8 million people, instantly KlugKlug is able to tell you that 5,922 profiles have used the word uh, hairstylist in their bio. So that's the bio search. And it gets really interesting when you want to find, has someone used the word nutritionist in their bio? Looking for such influencers is very hard. Working through agencies and partners, it's always 30, 40, 50, the same set of influencers being used by every brand. We're saying here are 4,330 plus profiles who have used the word nutritionist. So you can be a dancer, a chef, a cook, or whatever profession, passion, whatever you want. You have a special word, search for it, find that person, and find tens and thousands and hundreds of those people. Impact area. How many, most brands tend to work with influencer engagement of 1 to 3%, defined as the number of likes and comments divided by the number of followers, averaged out over a period of time. KlugKlug has already calculated a massive database, out of which we are saying they are living at an engagement rate of whatever percent. So imagine, why live with 1 to 2, 3% when you can go to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 20? Even at 10x, there are in India 2.5 million profiles with more than 10% engagement rate and ready to be searched. And if we had to put an affiliate marketing led layer to say which influencers in India would be most likely be able to sell, in fact, we're saying go all the way to 20% and find influencers. How many are there out of 2.5 million? Because you have all the data in the world, you can be as greedy as you like as a marketer to pick the best first. 800,000 profiles, out of which how many are doing it through real engagement and real followers? That's 393,000. And we can say, let's build recency, out of which how many have been active in the last 3 months and have made some post on their timeline. From 393, you're down to 223, which means these 223,000 influencers are making viral content on a whenever they post, and they get massive engagement. And the idea is always to go beyond the usual suspects. Show me influencers below 1 million followers. And there you go, instantly. So many people, all waiting to be discovered, to be used, because we're saying work. The philosophy for KlugKlug is very simple: transparency for brands, transparency for influencers, value for brands, value for influencers. People in the content economy, creator economy, who are doing the best job deserve to be on the table first. And all of this is only the blockage is discovery, the finding the right people. And it is not, so there are many tech platforms that say, oh, we have some of these features. See, but it doesn't matter if you just have a very small pool of 10,000, 30,000, or 100,000. It is not reflective of India. It is not Bharat. It is not tier two, tier three, 400 cities and towns. That's what you can discover on KlugKlug. No other tech does that. Imagine being able to predict the future. Imagine I say, I want an influencer from India, but I want growing influencers. I want trending influencers. So we say, okay, here you go. How about we take a numerical approach? In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whichever month, let's say in 6 months, how many influencers in India have grown by, let's say, 100%, which means they have doubled their profile. Normally, any agency or brand would be stuck with advisory from other agencies to say, hey, here are 30 guys. Here's Elvish Yadav, who's appeared on whatever, Big Boss, or someone's come on an OTT, or someone's come on Indian Idol, or someone's just hit it big for some reason. We're saying, no, there are 14,000 other people who have doubled their profiles. So literally, they're on a steady growth path. They'll be growing. You can catch them young strategically, tie them up for the deals. Look at the smaller influencers, go after them. So imagine you can see that, look, who are the really small ones who are working really hard down there, which means the first result here, limited by 500,000 followers, Insta Boomstar would have been at 250K followers 6 months ago, which means he's going to keep growing, or he or she. And of course, we always insist on this. Make sure that you pick only the good ones. So 13,000 falls down to a third, 4,900, which means there's a whole bunch of influencers growing on the power of fake followers as well. So that's a whole bunch of things that you can do on KlugKlug. And of course, you can see what kind of conversations are being had by which brand. So let's say if I type L'Oreal India, how many people have tagged L'Oreal in the last 4 to 6 months? On KlugKlug, you can detect a past history to say, hey, here are 8,959 profiles who've tagged L'Oreal India. Maybe organic, maybe XYZ, but they've tagged, and most people don't tag out of the goodness of their hearts. Out of this, how many were female? All right, use case being made, but 6,300. Out of these, how many had at least 50% female audiences? Out of 6,300, only 1,792 profiles, female profiles, have at least 50% female audience. We can very easily tell that L'Oreal has been speaking to 70% male audiences most of the time, even by design. So, and this can all go away. All these accidents disappear. So that's discovery on steroids. There's more here. You can search on topic, which is KlugKlug can help you build topic parameters, which is to say, in India, out of 8 million profiles, who has used, suppose you want to look for, let's say, finance. Who's talked about finance? You can build the topic. KlugKlug immediately starts saying, here are the 90% affinity hashtags that come along for the ride on a platform like Instagram. So it's Instagram specific intelligence that we build, and we've increased the topic. And immediately we're saying that, look, in India, out of 8 million profiles, 2,453 profiles have used one of these hashtags. And here they are. You can see the results there, finance with Sharon and so on. Instant joys of sharpshooting discovery for the influencer that will change your life as a business or a brand more than anyone before, because now you're sciencing your need for the right influencer. Once you have found the right influencer, what can you see? We are now moving on to the second part, influencer insight. You can do a deep MRI or X-ray or whatever you want to call it for an influencer. Let's look at Ashna Malani, a famous lifestyle beauty influencer who does a lot of work all across India. You can see all the baseline stats, followers, likes, engagement rate, average reel views, because they differ differently. That's all. And you can also see in advance that while she gets 2.8% engagement rate, KlugKlug is able to tell you that she has a slightly depressed engagement rate when she does a paid performance. All the other data, her growth, influencers, what does she talk about in buckets and interests. Moving on very quickly into audience, you can see that her profile has only about 20%, 16.8% active and real audiences. The rest of them are inactive, or they're most likely spurious followers. And you can see how it is said. We can see that 46% is from India. It is from all random countries like Indonesia, Brazil, Turkey. And they are in various buckets of people like suspicious followers who have shown no activity for the last 12 months, or there are mass followers, people who follow for money out of human bots and farms, which are managed by humans to behave like human accounts, and they follow on an average more than 12 to 15,000 accounts. So imagine, um, we are able to detect that. We are able to see that these people don't get follow back, don't show any other human activity apart from making a little bit of content and following lots of people. And we are able to tell 9% of our audience, 9.5% of our audience are real, and 1.9% of our audience are actually influencers. And we can see the age and gender split, age and gender cohort. You can see how their audience likes to engage and what kind of content they like. You can literally tell the influencer what content to make because you know what their audience likes to hear about. So you can see baseline is 1. So when she talks about clothes, shoes, and handbags and accessories, she's likely to get more follower affinity and even a 2x engager affinity, baseline being 1. So anything above 1 is really good. And you can see which are the content pillars that resonate with her audience. So weddings tend to resonate with her engagement. Who people who engage tend to like talk about weddings. Everything granulated and made clear. And similarly, because many influencers buy fake followers, they also buy fake likes, which means even the people who engage with this profile's um, content, only 28% of them show legitimate human behavior. And yet you can see 85% of the followers don't follow this person, which means they are again being procured through questionable methods to get engagement, because people who follow her don't like her content, and those who like are only 28% legit, and the rest of them are coming from outside, which means this is being boosted. If this was boosted legitimately on a paid media system, let's say on Meta, this would have been a very high score of 89, 90 plus, and this number could have remained the same. So there are interesting ways to triangulate, and you can see inactive accounts from all over the world, from India, Iran, Turkey, Indonesia, are engaging with our content. It just means there's something that's not clearly above board. In any case, it's not useful to the brand. You don't need to go outside KlugKlug to look at the influencers' content, because we look at which are the top content, which are the top branded posts that this influencer has been working with, let's say with Nike and Vogue. All of those brands could have improved their influencer marketing by finding other influencers with far better audiences than this particular influencer. Moving on to more, that we can do audience overlap, which is find influencers and see what is your unique audience between a set of influencers. And this is something called tiebreaker. Let's say I want to see a particular brand, what they have done, and we can run a real-time query, which is, let's say, what has Myntra been doing in the last 120 days, where influencers have followed ASCII guidelines and actually have declared a paid partnership while tagging Myntra. What would have taken 3 analysts, a listening tool, and figuring out a lot and building a grid over the next couple of weeks is done real time on KlugKlug. So KlugKlug is going to work. It's looking through the internet and it's searching how many influencers on Instagram have tagged Myntra and have declared a paid partnership either through the paid partnership feature or using multiple hashtags. And a beautiful grid starts developing in front of your eyes, real time, which would have taken a couple of $1,000 and lots of other tools and people, all automated into a quick outcome. And as this populates, because this takes a couple of seconds, you can see top hashtags, mentions, sponsors. Here you get a top line that, look, what is my competitor or my brand has been up to. We can say that 649 influencers with 700 million followers got so many million likes, etc., broken down into how many were nano, how many were micro, how many were macro, and as recent as possible. In fact, this post went live in the morning today and it's already into our system. So that is the power of Klug, and you can see their engagement rates, etc. You can see which are the good ones. We can in fact show you who are the low credibility profiles. So a ton of influencers working for Myntra with less than 10% authentic or active real human being audiences, followers. So a lot of money for Myntra could have been saved right now, which so even a 1.28 million follower influencer with only 7% useful, credible audiences. So that's the power of KlugKlug. The last thing is, of course, we close the loop with reporting and real-time reporting. So you can actually literally generate reports. No need to follow with multiple partners, agencies for how to get your reports consolidated. So all you need to do is create a campaign. You can actually, if you're an agency or a brand who wants to say, I want to do it for this particular brand versus that, campaign name, you enter the particular hashtags of the brand that they're using for the campaign, a start date, an end date, choose your platform, continue, and KlugKlug does the rest. Here is a sample campaign that's actually running in the background. It's saying, there are these influencers three influencers went live over on what dates, at what time, how many posts, what is the summary, how many likes, comments, views, engagement rate. And if you go into the depth, the entire timeline of the influencer campaign again, what is the total audiences, gender distribution, which are the locations of countries and cities where these people were from, what age and gender, all of it made real time, predictable, and even saying that, look, how is the influencer performing compared to the organic post versus what they have actually done in the campaign in terms of, you're talking about in terms of likes, in terms of comments, in terms of views, all of that. So this is likes, views, and comments. What contribution at a campaign level, at an individual level, everything made at the click of a button, real time. All your problems have gone away. And that's the power of KlugKlug. Thank you very much.